Hey everybody, I'm Graham Parker. Welcome back to the Around Pickens podcast. So, it's 2024 now, and typically a new year means new resolutions. And I'm sure you've probably thought of all those old familiar favorites like finally getting in the gym or really getting your retirement fund on track this year. But just in case you're looking for suggestions, I'd like to add one more to your list. Recycling. Now hold on a second, hear me out on this. What if I told you that here in Pickens we have one of the premier recycling departments in all of North Georgia? A way of doing things so good that other counties come to us when they want to improve their own operations. Conveniently, we have two locations in the county, one on Appalachian Court just off 515 and another off Cove Road for you Eastenders. Now they take garbage as well as recycling products, but what I've discovered from personal experience is that there is a whole lot less garbage to throw away once you've taken out all of the paper, cardboard, metal, glass, and most of the plastics. I kid you not, when I began separating my recycling, it drastically reduced how much I was throwing away and spending on trash services. But you know, in spite of knowing those facts, I may have never even started if I hadn't been so intimately acquainted with the program myself. You see, I began my illustrious career with the Pickens County government back in April of 2020, when I started working at the now-defunct Camp Road recycling location. And today we're going to hear from my old boss, Recycling Solid Waste Director, Kenny Woodard. Now, Kenny is an out-of-towner from Rome, but don't hold that against him. It is no exaggeration to say that in the last 3.5 years, he has completely flipped our recycling operations around for the better. And that's what we're going to discuss today, about how our program is designed with both customer satisfaction as well as fiscal responsibility in mind. So come on along. Let's hear what Kenny has to say about recycling. So Kenny, after having worked with you for about 1.5 years, I know your entry into the world of recycling was a little unorthodox. I think it's a pretty great story. Can you tell the folks at home how you got started in the recycling business and how you ended up over here in Pickens?
Okay. Well, start off, appreciate being here today. Everybody needs to know about recycling. Mm-hmm. We need to get that out broader than what we're doing right now. Mm-hmm. But it started out, I went to college, become an electrician, left a job at about 20 years to another job, played out in about 1.5 years, got laid off. And then I had a friend of mine say, medical field law enforcement, always a job. So I ended up going to work for the state as a corrections officer. Done that for about 1.5 years, transferred to the county, where I became an outside detail officer. And then there was a joke went around the county was they always sent the new guys to work at recycle. Well, an officer was out, so my time come. Showed up, kind of enjoyed it. Boss called me and said, hey, you done a good job. I might use you some more. About 2 weeks later, the officer got sick. I spent 6 weeks over there. Next thing you know, I got hired in. So now I'm part of recycle. Well, become a floor officer. From there, I went to assistant manager. And then I won't call his name, Tom Benefield, the manager there. He took me underneath his wing, showed me everything he knew about recycling, what we was doing to save the world, and how to sell commodities, collect them, how to reach out to people and get them involved. So, that meant a lot of credit for putting me where I'm at right now. And then the county decided they want to build a better facility. So the one where they were at right now, actually Pickens County was coming through looking at upgrading from what they was doing. And one thing led to another. They wanted me to come up, look at what they had, and they offered me a job. So that's how I ended up in Pickens County.
And that was back in the spring of 2020?
2020. I started in March of 2020.
So a lot has obviously changed in the last 3.5 years from how we were doing things before to how things are now over on Appalachian Court. Can you just give us a broad idea of how recycling operations have changed in that time?
Okay. Well, I'm going to copy from Michael Shore. He's all the time telling people we went from the dark ages at Camp Road to a whole new universe at the new center. The old center was sort of set up backwards a little bit. You had a lot of cars coming in and going. It wasn't really a direct path to carry. So with that idea in mind, we went to the new center, which, the county had bought the self-recycling facility. And after we all sat down and decided a drive-through recycle center, anything that makes it easier for the public to use, they will use. You've heard the old saying, if you build it, they will come. Well, if you build it better, they will keep coming. So with that in mind, we made it where it's more user-friendly, customer-friendly, and to make people want to recycle. Because it's a nice facility. I don't know if you remember the family that come in just to have pictures made in front of the aluminum cans. They thought that was artwork. So But yeah, the facility's changed a lot. It's actually it went from single stream where you dumped all your recycling together, and then the county paid for a pickup and a sorting fee at the place it went to. Whereas now we have education, which you made the video with us, which we appreciate that, and people can go online and look at the video, and it shows them how to come in, recycle, and it's actually been a good setup. The county's benefited from a lot from it because we don't have a landfill, so everything's being recycled is actually going somewhere. We have different vendors that want the products, so that's been a real good help with us. Finding the right person to take the loads is what we're doing, because I want to make sure everything that we are recycling is being recycled, not end up the landfill at night somewhere or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Let's touch a little bit on that user friendliness of the place. If somebody hasn't been to the center before and they came over there this morning, give us an idea. What would that be like for them?
Well, they'd be met at the gate by Linda, and then she'd ask them what they had, and she'd point them in the right direction to an employee. And then the employees are there. Our staff is there to help either introduce you to recycling or show you where to go. So it's all hands-on with our people. I mean, it's a learning experience once you first come in, but after you've done it once or twice, it's just it becomes a natural. It's just part of the day. Mm-hmm. But our staff helps everybody, and that's what makes us so good with what we're doing.
Well, now you offer a wide variety of services there. A lot are probably underutilized or just unknown to a lot of people.
Correct.
What are some of the ones that aren't being used?
Well, we have a free paper shredding service for documentation. We just request that people take their papers out of folders, remove their paper clips and binders, and then if they have a big load, call ahead so somebody's there to do it. But it's a free service. If you go to Staples or somewhere, they charge you. Mm-hmm. We don't charge nobody. So that's just one of the free things. And then, we have the oil and antifreeze drop-off. It's a free drop-off. And if you got old gas grills, washers and dryers, it's a free metal drop-off there too. And then we do the recycling. Everything that recycles free.
Well, I'd like to ask you about the main recyclables, sort of how you had things set up. A lot of counties, you come over there, you put all your recycling products into a compactor, drive off. But at our center, you actually have it to where it needs to be sorted out. Why do you have the sorting system set up the way you do? Okay.
Where I come from before, to actually sort things, you have to build a sorting system line, and that's expensive. And then it's cost a lot in employees to run it. Whereas what we have set up right now, you actually can come in and you're actually sorting it for free. And then you've got our employees, and they'll help you with it. But by sorting it yourself, the products are not contaminated like a single stream, like you was talking about a second ago. If everything's dumped together, a milk jug might bust open and get the paper, cardboard contaminated. Well, that stuff can't be recycled once it's contaminated. So with our setup, it's contaminated free just about. And plus it gives the customers an option of, you pay $1 a bag for your trash. If you got 5 bags and you can actually sort 2 bags in recyclables, that's 2 bags you don't have to pay for. Mm-hmm. So that helps the customers.
Yeah, definitely does. Let's talk about the recycling products themselves. Once folks drop it off and they drive away, what happens next?
Okay. Each bay is built to a certain dimension. So we know when it's full of that commodity or that recyclable, that's a bale. And then we take and bale it up, stack it and store it till we get a load, and then we ship it out to bidders, where we actually bid it out, and then the highest bid wins the load, and then we ship it out to them. And then they take it to their plant and process it back into cardboard or paper or aluminum cans or whichever they buy. But the sorting system is actually gives the customers an opportunity to know what they're doing and why it's being recycled, and they're keeping it separated, and they know, hey, here's a load of aluminum cans. In 6 weeks, they say that same aluminum can will be back on the shelf. So by keeping it sorted, it keeps it contaminated free. That's the big thing.
So how many loads have we sent out this year?
Let's see. This year, I can tell you we've baled 1,400 bales this year. Over the last years before, we've done about 1,000. So we've actually about a little over a third more than we have been doing. It takes 33 bales to go into a trailer, around 40,000 pounds. Different products are lighter and some are heavier, so it takes more bales or less bales, depending on what the commodity is.
What are the primary materials you're sending out?
That would be paper and cardboard. Mm-hmm. We're averaging about maybe 3 loads of cardboard a month, On average, a load of paper a month. And then everything else is sort of every 3 to 4 months by the load.
Mm-hmm. And you see some things are more common at different parts of the year, right? During the summer, you'll get more aluminum cans.
Get more aluminum cans and water bottles in the summer. And then around Christmas time, present times, we get a lot of paper and cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've got, this year in OCC, we've shipped out 880,000 pounds of cardboard. Mm-hmm. And then paper, we shipped out 400,000. Plastic, 140,000 pounds. And then that's a total of about 1.4 million pounds. Then when you add the aluminum and the metal, that puts us at about 1.7 million pounds this year we've kept out of a landfill that's been shipped out.
And to be clear, like before we had constructed the new center, we had the baler. None of that was happening. All of it was being just sent out to a landfill.
Sent out to landfill. Well, the single stream was actually going to West Rock.
Mm-hmm.
They would sort and separate it. So they had a facility for it. And that was costing employee fees, and then they charge you to take your recyclables. Whereas here it's a free drop off. We just bail it up and ship it out. It's a smoother system.
Mm-hmm. And those shipments going out, that's money coming back to the
Revenue
county.
come back, yes, sir.
Very good.
Sure is.
We
It's not what you think, because right now recyclables is like stock market. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's valuable, sometimes it's not. Like right now, everything's on the bottom end. Hopefully, when the year coming in, the commodities will sell for a better price. But for the last year and a half, they've been really low.
What affects the price going up and down?
Oil. If oil's cheaper, they'll make product. If it's higher, they want recyclables.
Well, since operations have changed, I know a number of other counties have come and consulted with you about revamping their own operations. Can you tell me, why is it that other governments in the region look at Pickens County when they're thinking about recycling?
There's a lot of thought put into ours. You know that you was part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got a crew there that was like, this was what was going on before. So their input meant a lot to me and with the county. So we took their input and we talked to customers. And we made it where, like I said, if you build it, they'll come. If you build it correctly, they'll use it. So I can't say we have state-of-the-art equipment there. The biggest thing is our setup is less than none. I mean, it's perfect. It can be improved, but the other counties are coming to me or to our county and looking at what we're doing, because how are you doing this? So we just showed them. I call it the KISS method. Just keep it simple. And that's what we do. Just keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
The simpler it is, the easier it is, and more people use it. User friendly.
Yep.
Now the other counties are sort of modeling us in a way. They're not building what we're doing because, you know, the county has put a lot of money in the center, and a lot of counties don't want to do that. But everybody wants to recycle. So we're already set up to process. So we're here to help. And we've helped a lot of counties. You know, Kris has put me in contact with some commissioners, and I've met with them and talked with them, and they've come and looked at the facility, and they're amazed with it, and they like it. They like the setup. It's because we kept it simple. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's just the way things need to be. When you start making things hard and complicated, and you make a lot of changes, people stop using it. So you just go the route of make it easy. But yeah, we had like Dawson right now where they're actually back into recycling. Everything they recycle, they bring to us, and we bail it. And Union County does the same thing. They're in the process of getting them a baler. So we're helping them out to the point where they get their baler. They'll be doing like us, processing their own product. And then Cherokee County, they do a lot of residential, but they do commercial. So they send all the commercial up to us. So we stay busy from the surrounding region area right here with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of help, I know right here in the community you partner with a number of local organizations. Can you tell us about some of those organizations and different projects you work on together?
Now I'm on the board with Keep Pickens Beautiful. I work with Woodard and the girls and the guys out with them. And this last year we've actually done 2 events at the center where we took in the old CRT TVs. Those you can't throw in a landfill because they have mercury in them, and they just can't be dumped out. So we've set up people to come by to the center, want to do their TVs, and I'd have them contact them. And then when they got a certain amount of people, they would contact those people and say, we're going to do it on this Saturday, so everybody would show up. And I mean, it's helped a lot. It's helped tremendously with us because a lot of people want to get rid of the CRTs. So by working with them and hand in hand with them, and then, you know, they do the trash litter pickup. So as long as you're a member of the road pickup, you can bring your road pickup to us for free, and we'll take it for free. So that helps. That's an incentive for people to get out and pick up the roads. They don't have to pay for it to be thrown away, so they just bring it to us. And then they actually, Keep Pickens has a statistics thing that you can go online and look what roads have been maintained, how often they're being picked up and cleaned.
Off the top of your head, do you remember what their website is?
It should be KP. I'd have to find out for you.
We'll have a link to it down in the description. But Kenny, what's the best ways for folks to get in touch with you and keep up with what's happening at the center?
Okay. I'm not the smartest man, but here we go. We actually have a Facebook page, and we have a web page. Our web page is done up real nice. It's pickensgarecycling.com. And that way you can go in, and we have our page is set up to show what we take. It shows our hours. It shows our holiday hours. It's set up, and it has a Q&A. There's questions that have been answered on there, so you can look through and it might be answering your question you need, or you can leave a question and somebody will get back with you about the question.
Very good. I want to ask you something that's maybe a little abstract, but what would you say the real-world impact has been of our recycling program?
Just with us not having a landfill in Pickens County, the more we recycle, the less it's having to go out to another landfill, which, you break it down. If you go to Walmart and you buy groceries, I tell people this all the time. If you go to Walmart and buy groceries, you're going to put those groceries up in the refrigerator. So when you get done using that product, set you a few bags at home and take them right back out. You open a can, put a can here, bottle there. Now, what I tell a lot of people is you don't have to bring every single bit of your recycling every time you come to the center. As a bag fills up or a box, bring that commodity. That way you're not bringing a bag with one bottle or 10 pounds of paper or one piece of cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Kenny, the last thing I really want to ask you is, what is your pitch to people who aren't recycling already? Why should they start?
Well, we've got one Earth, and landfills are few and far between, and they're expensive to build. The more we recycle, the more material we have to be reused back into the system. So, recycling is a big thing. A lot of people don't look at it that way, but recycling will save the world, especially landfills. And a water bottle thrown out the window, you pull in, you can throw it out your window into my bay at work where we're at the center. So, it's a simple thing. Instead of throwing it out on the side, just bring it, throw it into us.
Absolutely. Well, Kenny Woodard is Pickens County's Recycling and Solid Waste Director. Thanks for coming in this morning, Kenny.
Thank you for having me.
Folks, I don't want to preach to you, but I sincerely believe that there's a lot of value in recycling. Whether you're looking to do your part to help save the earth or just save your wallet, every little bit helps. One thing Kenny didn't mention is that the center offers tours for any group that may be interested. This can be helpful for school-age kids, learning about the environment or working on a merit badge. So please, reach out if that's something you think would be helpful. The department's contact information and website will be linked down in the description, along with links to Keep Pickens Beautiful. Thanks again to Kenny and all the other recycling employees working to keep Pickens clean and green. And we're going to close out the episode now with our question to the chairman, the part of the show where you, the viewer, gets to ask a question to Kris Stancil. So let's head on over and hear what viewers wanted to know. So Kris, I know before this you worked public safety with the Sheriff's Office for a number of years. I'm curious, in the many winters that you had as a deputy, what was the most memorable cold weather emergency you ever responded to?
One year when the ice, it just all of a sudden the roads iced over. I think it was the same year that Atlanta almost completely shut down. We had a lot of motorists get stranded at that point in time. So trying to pick up those people and get them back to a safe place when it was unsafe for us to really be driving at the same time created probably the most challenges. I can't remember exactly what year that was. But throughout times prior to that, just trying to work through how do you get to citizens in need when inclement weather has happened. And I know that throughout the country there are a lot of states that have way more winter weather than us, but they're equipped for it. They keep the salt trucks, they keep the scrapes, they keep a lot of things to run, and it's just a part of their standard operating procedures. Where we are realistically 2, maybe 3 times a year that we encounter and face those type conditions, that it creates a little bit of a challenge. I know that there's been a lot of work to ensure more 4-wheel drive vehicles, both for fire so that they have rescue vehicles to get out, but also with the Sheriff's Office to continue being able to respond and make it safely to to calls for service have always been a challenge to try to make sure. The other times were when there were significant power outages for an extended period of time, is trying to ensure, are people safe. Was always a big challenge, and I mean that challenge is carried over for sure. Outside of public safety, just into taking care of the public in general for us. So we've had a few.
I believe it. Well, keeping people safe is kind of what we're talking about today. For anyone who didn't see the previous episode, we spoke with our EMA director, Mark Harris, about how to prepare for cold weather emergencies as we move into that. One viewer found it a little bit lacking, and I'll read you the question that we got. She says, "Hey, something I didn't hear Mark talk about in this past episode was warming shelters. Where are they? When are they open? How are people supposed to know about them? That's something folks need to know about this time of year." So, she's absolutely right about that, Kris. What can you tell us about warming shelters here in Pickens?
So we've tried a few different things. What we have found that works the best right now, the sheriff has been willing to open up. He runs a 24/7 facility. And I know people have a negative connotation because the jail's on one side of the building. The other side is actually an administrative wing with a large training room. And so when issues occur or when there's a need for someone to have a warm place to go, they have opened up to be the initial location so that individuals that need a place to go to be warm, there's restrooms there, there's the potential to have food there, there's a lot of things that are already in place that don't require a full opening of a facility. And so they use their training room at the sheriff's office. And like most things right now, when you're trying to get immediate information out, we use the social media accounts of EMA, the sheriff's office, the county, all those different locations for social media. In the event of a long-term outage or something that's continued beyond there, we would then upgrade to a code red. That way, anyone who is signed up through the code red system could receive a phone call or a text, depending on how they have that set up, to let them know that is available, that it is up and running. If we have a number of people that show up at that location, and let's say 10 people are in need and they're in that location, that would trigger us then trying to open up a more permanent's not the right word, but a more long-term solution. And we would use our community center at Parks and Recreation and bring in the staff to take care of that. The Sheriff's Auxiliary, which is a nonprofit group of volunteers that have worked closely with EMA in the past, have actually equipped to be able to set up that shelter at that point in time with bedding, with staffing, things of that nature. So if we have something that's long term, we've opened it, I don't know, probably a dozen times with very limited number of responses. I think the most that have ever used that location was 4 or 5 individuals, and then once they were able to connect with either family or friends, they moved into that location. So they've ran for anywhere from one cycle of 12 hours up to 3 or 4 days. And so it's been more of a monitoring the need, who shows up at the initial warming shelter will trigger whether or not we move into opening up a more long-term solution. We've reached out to counties all around us as to how they meet this need. And in a lot of communities, it's nonprofits and churches that come on board and say, we are going to open up our facility for a warming shelter. And we would then serve as the tool to get that information out to the public using the same, social media, Code Red, all those different platforms to try to make sure that we get that word out. And I know last year around Christmas time, when we hit the single-digit temperatures, we had a couple of different. We had a church that had opened up to do just that. The town of Talking Rock actually opened up a wing in their city hall to be able to provide a warm place as well. And we get that information out so that we make it publicly available. We've spoken to other churches throughout the community that just kind of are watching for the scope or the scale of being able to. And when you use the word shelter, it kind of changes. And if you get into emergency management terms, there's warming centers, which are a place to go and just get warm throughout the day, but they're not open throughout the night for bedding, for a place to stay. So when you use the term shelter, it becomes more of an overnight situation. And I think some of the different local churches, some of the other nonprofits and groups like that, don't have the facilities to do the overnight lodging. They don't have the shower facilities. They don't have, some of the things that would be necessary for overnight. They have a warm place. Many of them have generators. Many of them have a lot of things that can provide short-term, get them out of the elements, try to do all we can to take care of the people that are in need, while we try to then gather together to work on long-term solutions for each group individually. So it's fluid. It's not something that's just a set in stone that this is exactly how we do it. We kind of monitor the scope and the scale. But our first response over the last several years has been the sheriff's office opening up their training wing, allowing people to come there, sharing that information on every available site that we can. And then if it does produce a need that's larger, we can look at bringing staff in and open up a larger facility to make sure it's provided. So it kind of, that's one of the reasons it's a harder question to walk through and explain, because it depends on the situation. I know that there are a number of different ways other communities have handled this. The one that seems the most successful are the partnerships with the local faith-based communities, that they open their doors, and then the government does all they can to get that information out to provide, hey, here's where it's at, here's when it's going to be open, here's the rules that facility may have as to whether whether you accept pets, whatever those terms may be. And then we work to try to provide that information out to the public. So.
Well, I think that's a good reminder. Just social media is really the primary mode of getting messaging out there, whether it's for our government, other municipal governments, or really any other resource in the community. So I would just like to encourage everyone, if you're not already following some of these channels, you should definitely do that and sign up for the Code Red emergency system just to get that information.
Absolutely. Code Red's one of the best tools that we have for anyone that signs up. You get immediately notified when these things happen, not just with inclement weather. There have been times we've used it for road closures. There have been times when other emergencies have occurred that we're able to get that information out. They can target what part of the county that goes out to. But it's the best tool for making sure someone who's not on social media, that they still are able to get that information. We're trying to find those, if we could say we're going to run an ad in the paper, but it's a weekly newspaper, so you're not going to receive it at the time that it's needed during that point in time. We've used the message boards, road signs a time or two. It just depends. If there's inclement weather with road and ice, obviously we're not going to be able to move road signs out safely into position to get that information out immediately. We will, but it's going to be after we've tried to deal with the emergency first, and then adding that service in there. So. Mm-hmm. It's definitely something each year you just kind of have to monitor how the weather plays out as to what the actual response is. And I think we've got some incredible men and women at different churches and other nonprofits that will open up and start trying to provide for those needs when they occur. And then we do all we can to share that information to the public.
Kris, thank you for that response. Remember, if you have a question for Kris, you can send it to us at questions@pickenscountyga.gov. Where if your question is concise enough and appropriate enough, we might just put it on the air. But that'll wrap up this episode of the Around Pickens podcast. I'm Graham Parker.
And I'm Kris Stancil.
And we'll see you around.